teammate versus teammate. This is going to get a little bit intense potentially. Sainz goes defensive. We go to the outside of the corner. Oh, Sainz! What have you done, man? What was that? Carlos Sainz almost just pushed us straight into the wall. Sainz giving us just about enough room to work with into the brakes, and he holds the inside line. ERS, and we're going to just power past him. Peter, oh, Sainz has hit us! Sainz has hit us! Our rear wing's broken. He locks up. Big lock up for Sainz, and again holds us up. This is a disaster. Oh, no. No! Are you actually being serious right now? As we do maintain the lead, though, going to these final corners, crucially in the battle, but Sainz has hit us again! He's come out of nowhere, and he's just smashed into our front left tyre! Now another curveball's been thrown into it. Oh! The front right tyre's got a puncture! And Sainz is closing up at a rate of knots, and Sainz passes us for the lead. 3 laps to go in this one, and I'm not letting the man who tried to take me out on lap 1 somehow come through for the win of this race. 3 laps to go. We're chasing him down, and the engine's given out again. Oh! You can't write this stuff. You can't actually. This is unbelievable. Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 22 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 63 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous episode, or the last couple of episodes, as shown by that previously clip in the intro, then be sure to go check all of those out before you see this one, because this episode needs a lot of context to make a lot of sense. A lot of stuff has happened in this season that has built this story out of nothing. I did not envisage this being a thing, but it has become a real factor and plot point in this season. This issue with our teammate of Carlos Sainz. The mid-season contract period is now open ahead of this race weekend, and we had to make a decision. Now, for me, because of what has happened in the last 3 races, I feel like I cannot work with Sainz anymore this season. It's clear that he's got an issue with us. I've never seen an AI teammate be this actively aggressive with me in memory on any F1 game, even not just this game, previous F1 games. Not just my decision though, of course, as this team is in partnership with Audi, of course. The brand has 2 teams. My team, of course, with Martini, Audi, AAR, F1, and then, of course, the full Audi Sport Works team over on the other side with Bottas and Vettel currently driving for them. And Audi, following his unbelievable second win of the season, were adamant that they still wanted Carlos Sainz to be part of the Audi family. So my hands were tied, and we've had to re-sign him to this structure. But being a 2-team structure in F1 has its advantages, as we have seen IRL. And whilst all this drama has been happening, I've been having some talks in the background with Audi and with a certain driver, and we've come to an agreement. So for the remainder of this season, the reigning 5-time world champion, our teammate from last year, Sebastian Vettel, is going to make the swap with Carlos Sainz. So for the remainder of the season, we have Sebastian Vettel back with us as our teammate going forwards for the rest of this year. Sainz gets away from us. He still has a relatively competitive car. He's still driving for the Audi brand, which they're happy with. And the Works team has been, as of late, bringing in some upgrades to try and boost their performances as of late. And this will also solve the frustration of Sebastian Vettel, who's been left with a less than competitive car than maybe he had last season. And with that car, obviously, he won the bloody championship for the 5th time. So coming back to our team in a much better car now, he's going to be so happy with that, and I'm going to be happy with that because of the amount of points I've got over him. Realistically, he's not going to be a nuisance to us in the Drivers' Championship. He's just going to aid us in the Constructors and also help take points away from my competitors if he's able to find the same sort of form he had last season. And obviously last season, myself and him worked as an amazing partnership. It was maybe one of the first few times times I was very selfless in terms of the way I was helping him out and taking points off people for him. And in the finale, I had to accept that he did the better job, and I gracefully just accepted the fact that he was the better man and he deserved that championship. So I hope that this is going to be a harmonious partnership once again under the Audi brand, and it's good to have Vettel return to the team. Now, for us, there's still plenty of work to do off the back of 2 DNFs in the row, even though technically I got classified as P20 because I finished enough laps, but I finished about 3 laps down. But that is, you know, don't get it mistaken, that is 2 DNFs in a row from engine failures in Austria and Britain. We've got some work to do because now we're on the back foot. We're down to 3rd place in the championship. Albon and Norris have also had 2 DNFs, so it is all balanced. But of course, I've also had 3 race victories now stolen away from me, basically. You know, we had Silverstone, we had Austria, and also Baku, because I was so close to winning that until the very last corner where Lando obviously made contact with us and Sainz smashed and grabbed the 2 positions to get the win. So on balance, I feel like we should still be leading the championship after all these things, but all those things did occur. You can't change them, and we are where we are now. And unfortunately, going to this race weekend, our air upgrades both fail on the front and rear downforce upgrades, so we have to repurchase them. They will come back in time, though, for the next Grand Prix, thankfully, so that will be at least a positive there. But in terms of the reliability, we're still bringing upgrades to that department, and unfortunately, we also trip up there. I don't know what it is here. You know, we have invested earlier in HQ facilities to try and stop the failures and with quality control, but they're still cropping up at the worst times. And having had 2 engine failures from the MGUK, the improvement to the MGUK has failed, so we have to repurchase that one as well. And speaking about those 2 MGUK failures, well, it means now we're definitely going to have to take a penalty for getting a brand new 4th MGUK into the car, because we've got one left on the left hand side, but I've been saving that for practice sessions, and that's my allocated kind of practice one that I keep putting in for practice. So we'll take a penalty for the MGUK. I looked around the other components to see if it was worth maybe taking more penalties. The internal combustion engine potentially could be one. The rest of the components actually, though, look really good. It's actually pretty good percentiles for every single other one, so I actually don't think we need to take an extra column for those ones. But the internal combustion engine would be worth doing, because all 3 of them are relatively worn to the point where in, you know, a race or two's time using any of those 3, they'll get to kind of a yellow range where it's going to be a little bit iffy. So we're going to take 2 new components on the ICE and the MGUK going into this race weekend. Now, you may think the Audi driver swap would be the biggest story going into this race weekend, but another huge story is this. Look at the left-hand side. Look at the R&D chart. Repsol Haas are flying. I have not seen an AI team upgrade this aggressively ever. I wrote them off. They had a horrendous season 3 when they got Repsol as a new title sponsor. Very different looking car. You know, they signed Carlos Sainz away from Ferrari to their team, and it didn't work out for them last season. And now this season, whilst they have 2 F2 drivers of Drogovic and Schwartzman, finally that investment, I guess, is playing in. And obviously these things are long term. It takes a while for investment to fully kick in F1 for different teams. And for Repsol Haas, it seems to be a 2-year plan, because in year 2, after becoming Repsol Haas, they're now the best team on the grid. They top the R&D chart going into this race weekend. They have arrived. They are the best team on the grid. It's unbelievable. So on the backdrop of all this drama with us at Audi, Vettel back in our team, Sainz across to the Audi Sport team, obviously this championship battle going on between myself, Lando Norris, and Alexander Albon, it would seem as the 3 kind of breakaway people in the championship. You've now got this other kind of spanner in the works, I guess, of what can Repsol Haas do? Can Drogovic and Schwartzman get in the middle of this, and will they continue just to be annoyances and continue a spanner in the works for all 3 of us, for all 3 teams, McLaren, Red Bull, and ourselves, because they're here, and they're here to stay. So this is going to be very exciting. Of course, Drogovic himself got an engine failure at Austria whilst he was in the lead of the race when I had my engine failure. So he is looking for redemption. He's looking for that mystical missing race win. So this could be a very, very interesting race weekend. But I must say, it is absolutely awesome to see see this man back in our team and driving this season's car, a much better car than what he drove last season. And of course, being Sebastian Vettel, he chose to change his race number to number 1 after winning the championship. So the number 1 is on our car now, and there's just that aura about it. I mean, personally for me, I always just like sticking with my number 7. It's part of my identity and brand. I feel as a driver is my favourite number, so I'll keep it even if I win the championship. But Vettel, one of those old school kind of drivers, will change to 1 when he wins the championship. But it's not just a new number he's bringing to our team, it's the good feel vibes from Season 3 that he's bringing back, and I hope this is going to be a really successful second part of the season, back in partnership with the Weltmeister Vettel. But it's a good start for us in Q1 then, and keeping that good feel vibe going P1 in the early part of qualifying. We did meet Carlos Sainz on our in-lap, and for some reason he refused to overtake us as I was coming in. He's on an out-lap himself. I guess he wanted to just get alongside us and maybe try and spook us out a little bit, but I'm not having any of it, not having the mind games. He finishes up in P7. Vettel obviously just hopping into this car, P13, but I have no qualms that he's going to get into the groove, find that speed, because this is a much better car than what he drove last season. And historically, he did actually sometimes start slow in Q1, and then by Q2 into Q3, he was like an absolute bullet. So I just can't imagine what he's going to do in this car maybe for the rest of the season. But Repsol Haas, they are up there. Drogovic is up there. Despite Ferrari bringing upgrades, they both get knocked out in Q1. But the Audi Sport Works team's upgrades seem to be working well, because Sainz and Bottas in the mixer in Q2, and Sainz in the top 10 in that first session. So let's see now how it goes into Q2. Bit more overcast, because there is some rain on the way for the last part of qualifying maybe, and it may just hit us at the end of this session. And we kind of timed it maybe a little bit unfortunately, because we've waited till the end of the session to go for our flying lap, because I didn't know the rain was on the way. I'm only saying that in hindsight, because by the end of the lap I saw this droplets of rain on the screen. So I'm really hoping the first 2 sectors were quick enough, because I didn't see it on the radar at all until those droplets came across the line. And we are going to make it through into the top 10 shootout with Vettel. But look at that, Schwartzman now getting in the mixer, top in the session. Drogovic through as well, both McLarens, both Red Bulls, 1 Audi sport car of only Valtteri Bottas. So Sainz gets knocked out in Q2, P12. When it really came down to it, he just couldn't quite find the same speed as Bottas, but of course probably still getting used to the different car, as in the same way as Sebastian Vettel. And then 1 lone Mercedes makes it through of Leclerc, which, by the way, I want to address. A lot of you guys were saying that he also had a blinder race last episode, him and Sainz. I don't know how they did it. Leclerc 1 minute was down, in the last 2-3 spots, and he finished second on the podium out of nowhere. So an electric race for Leclerc, who's at times when the car's clicking for him in that silver arrow, showing that it was a positive move for him to go to Mercedes and leave what is a pretty dismal Ferrari at the moment, clearly, over the course of this season. But now here we are then, top 10 shootout. You can see it is very wet. It was technically time for inters, because my team were adamant me going out on inters. I had to manually switch this to full wet, because all the other competitors around me were on full wet tyres. So it's that weird crossover where it's maybe getting just wet enough for full wet, so it was worth going out, because as the rain falls harder, as you can see it is right now as we're coming in for our in-lap, the rate has come down a lot faster, and that's going to make the track even slower. So those of us who went out early, myself, Vettel, Schwartzman, Drogovic, Norris, we've set much better lap times, and the guys behind us, they'll find it hard to match us now, because there's more standing water out in the circuit. So in the first qualifying session back with our team, we have out-qualified Vettel in the wet, in the same place where he had that insane pole lap, remember, in Season 3. So I'm very happy with that. We've definitely grown into this car a lot better than we did in Season 3. So I feel like we are, there to be able to fight toe-to-toe with Sebastian a bit more this time. But of course, hoping we just work together well in general. But Felipe Drogovic, what a man, is on pole for Repsol Haas. It's a 1-3 for Repsol Haas, proving it's not fake. It's not just smoke and mirrors. Haas are here. Haas are here as the best team on the grid. And Drogovic, in the place where he got his first podium of his F1 career, our team's first podium of our career, remember in Season 1, he gets pole. It's just so, it's meant to be. So poetic how that's worked out. It's amazing. And this could be a very tasty race for him and the whole team. Let's go to the grid.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race that the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher back in 1992. Spa-Francorchamps then, a historic 19-corner circuit with a lap distance of 4.35 miles. There's over 100 metres of elevation change here, and with long stretches of the lap spent flat out, a good top speed will be vital for success. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Felipe Drugovich lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Schwartzman, the owner driver, Sebastian Vettel and Gasly, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, George Russell and Magnussen, Albon, Perez, Oscar Piastri and Mick Schumacher, Théo Pourchaire, Bottas. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Liam Lawson and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching out for as they head into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Now, if you watch that grid sequence and you're seeing the screen right now, you might have some questions. Because we did take 2 new components on our engine. And for whatever reason, we've had this glitch before. I believe it was in Season 2, I think, wasn't it? Where I've taken components at this same racetrack, actually, Belgium, and they've not been applied. I don't know if that's still a problem that they've just not figured out and they've not picked up on. But again, here at Spa, where I thought I'd be at the back of the grid after penalties, or near the back of the grid, I'm still in my grid slot that I qualified in Q3. So we're here in P4, on the second row, alongside Schwartzman, just ahead of Vettel. A little bit confusing. Again, I have no idea why this has happened. So from the FIA, I guess, and the F1 gods, we've been given a gift here. Following 2 engine failures and DNFs, we are not taking penalties, and we start where we qualify for the start of this race. We've chosen to start on the medium tyres, along with the Repsol Haas of Drogovic and Schwartzman, Norris, Gasly, Vettel, the 2 Red Bulls, I think, all on soft tyres. I think the strategy is either softs to mediums or mediums to soft, so not too much difference there. Just at the start of this race, they'll be looking to be quicker, and at the end of the race, we'll be the ones, myself and the 2 Haas cars, being quicker. So crucial just to try our best to hold back the soft tyre runners. But of course, they might have different ideas. Sebastian Vettel, back in our team, may have other ideas. So we go to 5 red lights to the Belgian Grand Prix. Lights out, and away we go. It's a slow start for the pole sitter. He comes across the fence. Vettel's had a great start. It's a double overtake on myself and Schwartzman, maybe. It's the finish off the move. We just about defend against Gasly, but no surprise. The soft tyre runners off to a flyer off the 5 red lights. And Vettel, side by side with the Haas, up Radion. Now down the Kemmel straight. Vettel trying to get up into P3. Drogovic coming back, and Lando Norris and the Brazilian looking to retake the lead that he lost off pole position. Vettel defending Schwartzman. Drogovic is back up into P1. The Brazilian leads the race again from Norris in second place. We managed to nip to the inside with the help of Sebastian Vettel up into P4, and already you're feeling the team synergy at play there. Vettel got the jump on us, but he was helpful enough to at least squeeze out Schwartzman enough for us to get the jump, and And now, meanwhile, you've got Fernando Alonso fighting his fellow countryman Carlos Sainz down for P10 to 11. The Andretti Honda gets ahead into some point-paying positions early on in this race. Fernando showed some good pace actually in Q1, so bit of a shame maybe to see him not qualify higher in Q2 and didn't make Q3, of course, but clearly the race pace is maybe there to have a go at the Audi Sport Works car. Then Verstappen P9, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Gasly, Schwartzman now P5, myself P4. Vettel, though, with a bit of a gap ahead in P3, and he's looking to stay with Lando Norris. Both him and Norris on the soft compound, looking to get past the medium tyre runner of Drogovic. This is crucial for their races. They have to try and get ahead of Drogovic and bridge a gap, because later in the race, I assume Drogovic will go to soft tyres like I'm planning to, like a lot of us medium tyres planners will go to, and we'll be looking to reclaim that extra time gain, basically, that they're wanting to gain now, if that makes sense. So by the end of the race, kind of nicely, all of us should converge on one another, because the soft tyre runners who are quick now will be slower later on, and vice versa. But Drogovic doing a great job, that was, after losing first place, getting it back down this same Kemmel straight that now his teammate is looking to overtake me on as he goes through on the inside. No DRS yet, but that Haas seems pretty damn slippery in a straight line, and with further upgrades, I'm guessing with more engine power as well now these days, or a lightweight chassis, and so Schwartzman does get back ahead of us, but we're on the same compound tyre. We've maybe got a bit more downforce than him, it seems like, because we're able to dance our way round the outside to the inside for the next left-hander down the hill to get back up into P4. And now Tsunoda, opportunistic, pounces down the inside of Huon, and is going to make a sensational overtake up to P6 for the Red Bull car. The wrong Red Bull, I guess, in terms of the championship fight. Albon down in P12. He's having a howler. He's going to have to make a lot of overtakes today to try and reclaim some points and do damage limitation, I guess, basically, versus myself and Lando Norris, because right now he's going to be scoring 0, and there's plenty of fast cars ahead of him, including our old teammate Sainz. Alonso will put up a fight, I'm sure. Verstappen, Leclerc, just a lot of drivers that are not going to be easy to overtake for Albon today, so that's going to be one to watch. But Tsunoda leading the Red Bull charge, and Vettel is the one leading our Martini Audi charge here in P3. You can see he's sticking on the back of Lando Norris very nicely, both of them in DRS range of each other, and Drogovic, of course, so it's going to be a DRS train forming behind the Brazilian. So what will come first? Will Vettel try and overtake on Lando before he gets to have a go at Felipe for the second time in this race? It looks like Vettel's a bit closer here. I mean, he's only half a second, and now Drogovic actually may have just broken the DRS from the McLaren, and you can see the rear wing is wide open on Vettel's car, closing up and closing to the McLaren, just not close enough to make him move quite yet. But as we get to the end of lap 3, he's right up his gearbox, is almost going to be pushing him through the bus stop chicane, and it's a 1.4, nearly 1.5 second gap that Drogovic has got. So he's not led many laps in his F1 career. He's never won a race in this alternate F1 universe of ours. He's picked up some podiums before, but he's doing a stunning job right now at controlling this race, and he's seeming like a natural out there in the Repsol Haas. And what looks more likely is Sebastian Vettel getting past Lando Norris here on this lap. Lap number 4, DRS is going to open, and Norris obviously doesn't even have any sort of slipstream off the Haas, and so here comes Sebastian Vettel on the left-hand side, round the outside to the inside, and he's up into P2, and now, what can we do?
Okay, stand by, we see a problem our end.
Oh no, now Mark, no, Mark, I swear to God, Mark, do not tell me that again. I've got PTSD now from hearing that, because it's happened too often, and the last 2 times it's happened, we've had an engine failure. Don't do this. You cannot be real right now. There is no way this is going to end up being an engine failure. It can't be. Our team's in an amazing position, P2 and 4 so early on in this race, and it is going to be a full-blown engine failure again. For the 3rd time in a row, we are going to be out of a Grand Prix with our engine going up in smokes. I can't actually believe it. This is unprecedented. This is unheard. I have never, in the history of Formula 1 games, since F1 2010, I have never had 3 mechanical, complete DNF engine failures. I'm lost for words. I'm lost for words. And it's not even the MGUK this time. It's the energy store. That component wasn't worn at all. That energy store, the 2 ones we've had so far, they've been completely fine, hardly worn, didn't need to think about any extra ones for the season, and now that's the component that's failed. So it's not even the same component and a lack of reliability upgrades for that part of the engine, because this is a completely different part that has not had an issue ever. I don't think I've ever had an energy store fail on me on this game. So it's clear we've got some sort of big reliability crisis. So there's some gremlin in our components right now, and I just got scared that this will occur again, or, you know, not a 4th time in a row, that hopefully, but just, one more like this later in the season even, and it's game over. We're out of the championship. So I've invested now into fabrication, build time, because we need more and more upgrades on reliability ASAP. But that was our Belgian Grand Prix over very prematurely on lap 4. But it wasn't all bad in terms of myself, yes, but for the rest of the race, I think you'll be pretty darn happy who ended up getting the victory.
Many doubted whether they could pull off the win here at Spa-Francorchamps, but they've done so in spectacular style. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
The quality and fantastic result of the Haas team will have been noticed by everybody else out there today. And you can see why everyone's taking them so seriously. These drivers will be hot property by the end of the season.
He's done it from the pole to the win. Felipe Drogovic, the young Brazilian, has won a race in Formula 1. And how poetic it is. He wins his first race in the same location where he got his first ever podium for our team in Season 1. I remember that so vividly. In that race, I got an engine failure, helping him get that podium. And in this race, I didn't help him at all. He did it all himself, but he got the win whilst I, again, had an engine failure. It's really funny how things can sometimes repeat themselves in Formula 1. And clearly they've coded that into the bloody game, because I can't believe... I'm actually gobsmacked. 3 DNFs in a row! 3! So it means now we are so on the back foot in the Drivers' Championship. We are now 34 points behind the leader, who is Albon, who's got a healthy 11 points ahead of Norris. Gasly's now ahead of us, so he's entered the championship fight, because I'm still going to be trying my best, and I still have to have that belief, of course, for the rest of the season. So he's entered the frame, I guess. At least with Vettel scoring well, we're still very much in the constructors' fight. You know, in terms of 33 points back from Red Bull, that's obtainable, very much so, with 2 drivers scoring well. I'm not worried about the constructors. I still think with this amazing partnership with Vettel now, we can win the constructors. But for the Drivers' Championship, I've got my work cut out. I need to now be winning multiple races this season to get myself back into this thing. And that's going to be no easy mean feat, because we've not won a race yet, or full Grand Prix yet. We won a sprint, we've not won a full Grand Prix, and I've had 3 race wins taken away from me. So it's going to be hard to get 3 race wins in the rest of the season, because there's only 7 races left. So, my oh my, I did not envisage... I had no idea the season was going to go this way. I genuinely thought this would be a season where I'd be fighting Sainz with a great car out in the lead, and it would be a great teammate battle, you know, Rosberg v Hamilton-esque. And it's gone so sideways in a direction in a direction that I did not foresee. I didn't foresee any of this issues with Sainz that have come out from his AI behaving the way he did, and I did not picture us getting 3 failures in a row. This stuff has come out of nowhere, and it's made this whole thing so much more interesting. Guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, nonetheless, then hit that like button. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, about the driver swap, Drogovic's great win and this failure, the third failure. Do you think I'm still even in the fight at all in this championship? Let me know in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.